was a rather splendid little interlude, wasn't it? On a whim, decided to go and check out a little anchorage and ended up making some new friends and understanding a bit more about some of these local communities here in the Anambas Islands. So we've only got a few days left now, just under a week before we have to check out. What we plan to do, as we've already told you, is to go to Waterfall Bay, where we can get scooters and actually go to Terempa. So it may be that we even just anchor there and check out. But before we do that, we thought we'd go to another little community, a bit bigger than Air Putri, and it is literally just there. You can actually see it. So it's a mile or so down this fjord, and as you can see, the sun is out. It's another beautiful day. We've got a few clouds up there, but aside from that, it's looking good. It's quite reefed, the entrance. In fact, we're not entirely sure we can get in. So we've been looking on Google Earth, and I've been outlining some of the reefs there, and we hope that we can make it in. It's right opposite Waterfall Bay. But we thought we'd just go and have another explore of a little community if we can anchor successfully. Well, this is our planned anchorage. This is the town we were aiming for, and the bay was here, and in fact you can see there's a lateral marker, port marker there, but the only problem is that there's a number of FADs in there. And from our previous experience, when the wind picked up and they dragged, we just get the feeling it's going to be pretty busy. There's not much space to anchor. It'd be somewhere in the middle between them. So we've bottled it. We've decided it's probably a little bit too risky. Well, we made it, and as Liz puts the snubber on the anchor chain, it was a little bit, well, it wasn't hairy. It helps having the waypoints. The reefs can be fairly easily seen anyway, but the main problem is the entrance. There's two reefs either side with quite a shallow channel, and there's quite a bit of currents running up and down, north and south, past the two reefs. So as you try and line up to approach it, you're getting pushed sideways, so you have to counter that, which basically means putting in more speed in order to gain some kind of traction. And of course it's always a little bit scary speeding up as you're heading towards the reef. But anyway, here we are. This is Waterfall Bay. That is the waterfall, and not so much water on at the moment because, well, it rained the other day, but I think it's probably a little bit more impressive close up. But this is it. This is Waterfall Bay. Well, as you can see, it's a pretty overcast day today, but we thought we'd come ashore for the afternoon, and first thing is to tie up the dinghy by anchoring out the front and tying to a post back here, which is the first time we've done that in a while, if ever. It's the way that the locals tie their boats up as well. You can see a fisherman going out there. Quite a few people in canoes, kayaks, paddling past us. Just behind there is the waterfall, and I've already paddled this. In fact, I paddled down to the waterfall in the kayak all the way up around the whole bay to have a quick nosy, and I decided that this is uptown, this is where the smarter buildings are, and then this is downtown. And right at the end they have it looks like a water collection point. I don't know if you can see that right at the end there. They have these red containers. There's a pipe that's suspended on bamboo poles for about 200 meters that goes into the mangroves there, so it's obviously a source of fresh water. Anyway, so this is where all the local fishermen tie up, and we checked the charts, and the very first thing that you come across is a little grocery store with tables and chairs for our kopi tanpa gula, coffee without sugar, because if you get it with sugar, the sugar rush lasts about 3 hours.
Tambaran waterfall, of which apparently is the biggest tourist attraction on the island of Siantan in the Anambas. Up there, halfway up, is Jamie, and he has a drone and he's doing some drone shots right now. But I was not going to go up here. It's a vertical climb. Came out of my flip-flops twice, slipped once, and then I gave up, so I'm halfway down. But Jamie is halfway up the hill.
Well, as you might be able to hear, I am, what, 2/3 of the way up the waterfall, right in the middle, and all the way down there. Somewhere down there is Liz, hiding down there. So, walked up the side of the waterfall. It's very difficult, very slippery, very steep, and it just got to the point where it was just too dangerous with all the gear I'm carrying and flip-flops and slidey wet mud. But I think this is about as far as I'm going to go. I don't think there's any way of climbing up the waterfall itself, possibly up the side there, but it's still quite dramatic. So that was the waterfall. Definitely more impressive close up than it is from distance. It was quite good fun climbing up there. And yeah, I'm glad we've done it. But I have to say, I think both Liz and I are a little bit underwhelmed by this. I think we had bigger expectations. I guess we've just got used to a different side to the Anambas. And this is obviously on the tourist trail and it's in all the tourist magazines, must do. But anyway, we're back on the boat and we're probably going to shoot off tomorrow now that we've ticked this one off the list. But someone is particularly happy that we did that little track up the waterfall, because on my way back down, I had to slide on my bum. And someone is getting rather excited at the smell of my shorts. Look at this. This is ridiculous. She's gone all unnecessary. She cannot get enough of it. At about 3 o'clock this afternoon, Liz turned to me and said, "I'm surprised you haven't had a beer yet." And I said, "Well, I haven't earned it, have I? All we've done is leave the rather underwhelming Waterfall Bay anchorage and less than 1 kilometre, sorry, 1 nautical mile I should say, and have come out to this anchorage here where there are 2 other boats as well. So it's quite sheltered, but we're surrounded by a reef. Right, I'm just right over the top of the reef right now. There's a reef here that stretches all the way out there and then all the way around like so, and we're tucked nicely inside. Back to the beer story. So I said to her, yeah, you know, haven't earned the beer, so I need to go for a kayak. So dropped the kayak in the water and thought I'd paddle over to this island. Now this island here, surrounded by reef, and we've been hearing a lot of fruit bats making a hell of a racket. I mean, really, really noisy. So I thought I'd jump over and come and have a look and see what we can find. I don't think we'll see much, but since this is a waterproof camera, I can give you a little taste of what is right underneath me right now. Here we go. It's the most amount of sea urchins I've seen. I've seen a few here and there, but this particular shallow patch over the coral seems to be littered with them. I mean, thousands and thousands. I didn't put my waterproof shoes on, unfortunately, so I can't get out. But it's super shallow, very, very shallow, and just, they're all over the place. I've never seen so many. They're supposed to be quite tasty as well, but I've never tried cooking them before. So I think this is where the fruit bats live, or sort of just over there. Island's fairly impenetrable, at least with bare feet it is. And you can see it's lined with mangrove. And you got the sound of the cicadas as well. So I don't think I'm going to try and climb ashore, but I will see if I can find these noisy fruit bats for you. That's them. Yep, so it looks like they're nesting on top of the mangroves, just here. I'm now in such little water, it's barely a few inches and the kayak's touching the bottom. That's so noisy. Incredible. God. Fuck me, I have never seen that before. That is a sea eagle, and he's attacking the bats. And he just flew up out of the mangroves with a bat in his talons. I mean, these bats they're not quite as big as the sea eagle, but they're big enough, and this is obviously what's upsetting them. Look at this. Wow, that was amazing. Never ever seen anything like that before, and I would never have thought that a sea eagle would be going for fruit bats, because fruit bats are not small, they are pretty big, very wide wingspan. They're also quite meaty animals, they're mammals, remember, so they probably weigh quite a bit, from the perspective of a sea eagle, I mean. I should add, by the way, that my presence is not really disturbing them. I mean, okay, they may be aware that I'm here, but these guys have been making this noise all afternoon, so whether I was here or not, they would be this noisy. To admit, I am slightly fascinated by fruit bats. We first saw them in India, and every evening at sunset they would fly across the river and occasionally get caught up in the telegraph wires. The next morning you'd find the poor unfortunate bat whose sensors didn't quite pick up the cables of the telegraph pole, and they would fly over in their hundreds if not thousands, and they're quite a spectacle to see when they fly across the sunset sky. For many years I thought that noise that you hear is rats, and of course rats and fruit bats are quite closely associated. They're very similar. Of course, the only difference being that these guys grew wings. The noise that they make is quite similar, but it's quite distinctive. In among all that shrieking that you hear, occasionally you hear the odd murmur that's quite human-like, and it sounds like crowds of people chatting and arguing and fighting. That's just me. Right, back round to the land of the sea urchins, and I just realised this kayak has 4 holes in it to allow the water in and out. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to prick my bum with them. Anyway, I'm just going to go round to the last little bit before going back for my well-earned beer.
So how was that beer, Jamie, then?
That beer was exceptional. It always is after venturing into nature like that. And nice contrast between last week's episode where we met the people of Ayaputi, and this week it was just all going back to nature, really.
Yeah.
And admittedly, it wasn't as awesome as some of the drone shots from previous episodes because the lighting wasn't great, and there was a real mix of camera work there. That's unfortunately one of the things that we have to compromise on when you go out in the kayak, is to use that little waterproof camera.
Yeah, but it told a good story. I still think it's great.
Yeah, but that episode with the fruit bat and the sea eagle, I'm so sorry I didn't capture it. I missed it by about 3 seconds. You can hear me sort of swearing in the wind as I just saw this incredible sight. I think it's the only other sight that I've seen that matches that is when we saw the wild tiger in India.
Oh yeah, that was the moment to never ever forget. But
Yeah.
I'm so jealous you saw the eagle with the bat in its tail. This is extraordinary.
I mean, you know how I have this funny pet hate of the use of the word awesome?
Yeah, I know.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just an incredible sight to see. I looked it up. The fruit bat has a wingspan of about 1.7 metres.
Yeah, they're flying foxes, they're known as well, aren't they? Yeah.
That's right. Whereas the seagull, and you get seagulls all over the world, and this particular seagull in Southeast Asia, their wingspan grows to about 2.1 metres. So, I mean, it's like this. But not much difference between
No.
a fruit bat and a sea eagle. So this seagull has got rich pickings with all these, big. And I think the bodies of, a fruit bat is
At
something
least, yeah,
is like
yeah,
that.
we've seen them, yeah, up close.
But it really was the most amazing sight of nature I have ever seen. It just blew me away. I'm afraid it's no David Attenborough episode. We didn't have a whole bank of camera crew there recording the scene, but the fruit bat, of course, is very common around here.
We see them. We've seen them really since southern India, haven't we? So we've been watching them for the last 5 years. They're always brilliant to watch. And at night, when they stream across the sky to their picking grounds, it's like a motorway of bats. Anyway, I just wanted to say I like your hat.
Oh, why, thank you very much, Elizabeth. That's a nice segue. So this is one of our new Esper hats.
It is indeed.
And it's available in our shop. And I think it's about time we put out another little discount code, I think.
Yeah, why not?
So-
We've got new hats. We've also got caps as well.
Yeah, we've got quite a few new items in the shop. What we'll do is we'll send out a discount code to everyone on our mailing list. So if you haven't yet signed up, then please do. We'll put a link in the description, and in the next week or two we'll send out a little discount code for new items in the shop.
Yeah, cool.
Now, didn't you want to say something about sharing?
Yes.
Sharing,
Yeah, a
share.
number of you have been starting to share our videos and our photos on Instagram and Facebook and so forth. And you know what? It really helps. It's helping us meet new people online, and we've got more and more subscribers. So if you want to help us get the word out, you can do that really easily simply by sharing this video or any other video that we produce. It doesn't cost a penny. Of course, if you want to support us as well on Patreon and Run Fun, there is always that option. But just sharing, liking and commenting helps us enormously on YouTube.
And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to
Yeah.
our channel. If you've just stumbled across this video, we put out 1 episode a week, sometimes 2, sometimes we put out a couple of episodes. We've got a few extras lined up as well.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
So, yeah, stay tuned. And in the meantime,
Peace and fair winds.